the chief approves everything that comes to him. He brings it to town manager, and town manager presents it. I think
I was surprised to hear that. I thought he would have more control over it,
I think he does, but just logistics stuff. Like, here's our guy. This is the guy we want, and then he'll read through it to make sure there's nothing standing out there or any conflicts and stuff like that. But really
Good to go, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, come to order. Thank you. Welcome to the Conservation Commission meeting of the town of Newington for December 20th, 2022. It is 7 p.m. Ms. Givens, please call the roll.
Commissioner Ancona?
Here.
Commissioner Bashans?
Here.
Commissioner Conway? Commissioner DeHaas? Here. Commissioner Paskowitz? Chairman Saydel?
Here.
Commissioner Wagner?
here.
Commissioner Wemett?
Here. I did hear Ben Ancona III is present. I did. There was someone. Okay, did hear that.
Yes, I
Thank
heard
you.
that.
Yes. Okay. No alternates to be seated tonight or anything, or
Mr. Wemett.
okay, we'll see Commissioner Willett or Commissioner Conway in case Mr. Paskowitz shows up. Very good.
All right.
Public participation on non-agenda items. Each speaker limited to 2 minutes. Is there anyone on the line or in the audience who wishes to speak?
No one is in Zoom to speak.
All right, we shall proceed to item 4, acceptance of minutes. Minutes for the Town of Newington Conservation Commission from November the 15th, 2022. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions from the commissioners? Seeing none, I have none myself. I have a motion to accept the meeting minutes of November 15th, 2022 as written.
Make a motion to accept the meeting minutes from November 15th,
Moved by
2022.
Commissioner Bouchard. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner DeHaas. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? None. Passed unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to new business. Application 2022-25 modification of a permit 2018-04 to increase the building footprint within the upland review area at 197 Meadow Street. Applicant Adam Demusi, owner Cross Construction LLC. Contact is Adam Demusi. Did I pronounce that correctly?
So,
Name and record address for the record, please.
Sure, yes. 45 Moreland Ave, Newington. Cross construction. Oh, that's right. Adam Demusi, 45 Moreland Ave in Newington. So, let me give that.
So, just give an overview of the project. There were some commissioners here who were not at the 2018 application, so give an overview of the project. I'm specifically interested how these changes impact the wetland and the conservation easement. Basically, also the stormwater management plan, has that been affected or changed as a result of these changes?
Right, I don't believe there's any additional impact. Well, I think this isn't the actual, this is the in the wetlands. It's not actually in the wetlands, it's in the
Review area.
yeah, exactly, review area, sorry. And so I think basically we increased the original footprint was about 2,000 square feet. And we increased it, it's a ranch style, so it sounds smaller than it is, about 2180. But the footprint is with a ranch, the foundation's bigger. So we pushed it back about 16 feet to the east and 14 feet to the south, but we're still off 15 feet off the conservation easement. So I don't think there's any additional impact in the original approval.
Has construction started on this location?
No, not yet. No, we did the other house next door in the summer on Spur Lane, but not yet. We haven't started this.
Mr. Hinckley, can you show exactly the access point where there's Orchard Road in the
So right up here where you can see the cursor, this
Yeah.
is the driveway off of Meadow Street. It's a shared portion of a shared driveway. That's going to be the access point in the construction entrance. So the wetland is way down here. The conservation easement's down here. So you're not going to get any vehicles driving through that area. They're going to access it here and do their work. The map is self-explanatory, but I'll just give you a little The red box is what was approved on the original subdivision as the house footprint. And then he has the newer footprint that they're proposing.
Approximately, is that a 14-foot shift to the south?
Correct, yeah, about 14 to the south and very close to 16 east, which would be to the rear. Still 15 off the conservation easement.
Right,
so-
it is still with the outside of the conservation easement, and it's just a
What
little.
does that area look like right now? What are the plants? Is it trees? Are there?
It's just a field. There's a couple of trees on the edge. I don't know if we'll have to touch those trees. It's close, but that's it. It's an open field.
So if I may point out on the plan that the black dash line, you can kind of see this is the rough tree line. And that's when we put the conservation easement in, that's what we tried to do. We tried to stay on the tree line so we wouldn't be removing any trees. There may be a straggler tree or two in there that are going to get removed, but the tree line is going to be kept established and protected as it was.
Yeah, we wouldn't go into the conservation easement.
So the conservation easement is on the east side.
Correct.
Yes, the conservation easement is down
What
here.
about the southerly area there? So we are moving closer in the upland review area? Just trying to read the map here.
So there's more impact to the upland review area. The house is a little bigger than what was proposed, and it's shifting within the URA.
And just I may ask you, what was the original plan to handle stormwater? Where was that water going? Because we don't have the original plan anymore, but what was the plan?
Right.
And we
I
have
think
it-
this was switched over. We had there's a swale you can see in the front there, and I believe the original intention was that.
Can you point to that, Mr. Green?
The swale in the front of the barn,
So you have here,
and it goes into that pond which we built.
this detention pond is already constructed as part of the first house.
Correct, so that's all been established.
The yard's gonna be graded that way, I believe, and his roof leaders will be directed that way as well.
Correct.
So there is a pond on the north side by 287B.
Correct, but it's a rain garden, but I've been monitoring it. We've had a little bit of water in it, nothing really, nothing significant.
I had a couple of questions.
If you please, Commissioner Bashant.
Now what are those shift numbers again? You said 14 and 16?
Yeah, so,
Is it not to scale because that doesn't, does it?
it's, yeah, I don't know if the original's to scale. But I've got, if you look at the bump out, you see the 14-foot section on the south side, it's 14 feet. The line kind of comes right through that 14.
Well, I'm just saying the whole shift of the footprint of the property doesn't look like it would be 14 and 16, like three
Just-
times more on one side than the other.
Right, so in other words, it's not a shift, it would be an additional width of 14 feet than the original. See, the original's in red. So south, the foundation would be 14 feet farther over and then 16 feet to the rear of that red line.
I was looking at the north line.
South there. They said it
Yeah, I was looking
Confusing
here,
with
so.
the wetlands.
And then the driveway looks like it goes out of the property lines is,
So there's an existing driveway, and what it is there's a right of way on it, there's an easement
okay.
that's already existing.
So it's gonna remain outside of the property?
Correct, so you come across, well, it's an interesting scenario, you come in, starts off on the access, and then it comes back onto the existing driveway and then back onto the property. So we did that to avoid having to do a second driveway in there. So that's how it'll be.
Okay. That's it.
Any other questions from commissioners? All right, but you said the stormwater will go north, will go in that, if I turn the map this
West.
way, it goes west and then down.
Right down.
That's all sheet flow. The barn's not gonna get in the way of that, or
No,
just,
it's fairly flat there. Take a ride over to you, you'll see it's pretty flat, it starts to slope up a little towards the conservation easement, but not much.
okay. I guess I'm okay. Is this project gonna start soon in the spring? You have the clock is ticking on your,
Yeah.
The permit.
So, yeah, as soon as we get if we get through this, and then we'll go right to the building permit. So, yeah, fast. As soon as possible. Yeah, you're right, the expiration's coming up on the original.
okay, so we'll table this for now, no further questions, and we'll bring this up under old business next month.
Okay.
We have the issue of whether there should be a public hearing or not. I don't believe there should be, but.
But thank you for reminding me for that.
It's on your motions.
Yes, let's see, Mr. Haas. What is the general feeling? I think it's
I don't
public
feel
hearings.
that,
I don't think we need
All right.
one.
Very well, so motions here.
So for application 2022-25 for 197 Meadow Street for modification of permit 2018-04 to expand a building footprint within the URA. I have a motion for no public hearing. This activity will have no significant impact to the regulated area and will not require a public hearing.
So moved, may I have your second?
Commissioner Wagner, second.
Second by Commissioner Wagner. Ms. Gibbons, please call the roll.
Commissioner Ancona,
yes.
Commissioner Bashan,
Yes,
Commissioner DeHaas,
Yes.
Chairman Sado,
Yes,
Commissioner Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner Wimett,
Yes.
6-0.
So be on old business for next meeting for
jumping the
action.
gun there, yes.
All right, thanks.
Okay, moving on to old business, application 2022-23, replacement of a sidewalk within the designated wetland area and upland review area at 1936 to 1940 Main Street. Applicant owner, Town of Newington, contact was formerly Gary Furstenberg, town engineer. Someone from the town present to present.
I am, Mr. Chairman. So this is a proposed bridging of sidewalk on Main Street. Currently, the parcel that we acquired in 2018 is where that sidewalk ends. We're proposing to bridge the location from address at 1912 Main Street all the way through and connected into the Churchill Bridge location. There should be minimal disturbance to the upland review area, less than 0.10 acre of area for that. And the entire thing will be restored and seeded when the season allows for it.
I don't think we have any action items on this application from last month, if I recall.
No, there was nothing discussed. Your motion that I drafted was just for the 10 standard conditions.
So the application is complete.
Yes.
So I'll turn it over to Ms. Secretary DeHaas for a motion on application 2022-23 for the replacement of the sidewalk in the upland view area at 1936, 1940 Main Street.
I have a motion to approve application 2022-23 for the construction of sidewalks within the wetland area and regulated area with the 10 standard conditions. Additional conditions may be imposed by the commission and added to the record.
I see no further additional amendments or conditions at this time. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Bashan. Final discussion. Ms. Gibbons, please call the roll.
Commissioner Ancona,
Yes.
Commissioner Bashan,
Yes,
Commissioner DeHaas,
Yes.
Chairman Sado,
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner,
Yes.
Commissioner Wimett,
Yes.
6-0.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Happy holidays. Okay,
to
same to
work on it,
you.
James.
Moving on to old business item B, application 2022 for a modification of permit 2022-01 to expand a parking lot within the upland review area at 249 Day Street. Applicant owner, 249 Day Street LLC. Contact Peter Mirabelli, is the applicant present.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Jim Cassidy, professional engineer and principal at the firm of Halsey, Pearson and Cassidy. Here tonight with me is Peter Mirabelli, owner of property located at 249 Day Street. We were before you last month and we presented our application for the expansion of a parking area located at 249 Day Street. You may remember back in early 2022 or before you received the permit to be able to construct a 50 vehicle parking lot for storage of Eversource utility trucks. Since such time, Eversource has come back to us and asked us to store some additional trucks. So we're looking at doing an expansion of that parking area. On the plans that were presented last month, what we indicated is that expansion would go into the upland review area. We are looking at an activity of about 0.59 acres of activity in the upland review area. Primarily, it was for the development of a stormwater drainage swale to control the stormwater that runs off the site before it discharges to a wetlands along the easterly boundary line. As part of that, we indicated that stormwater swale is designed to capture what we call the first inch runoff. That first inch is what tends to carry pollutants off the parking lot, treat it before it's allowed to discharge to the wetlands. Also, it is designed to attenuate flows so we don't have any increase in flow into the wetlands. The activity is based upon the town wetlands line. Since such time, we did have Davidson Environmental go out there, redelineate the wetlands. And on the plans we presented, they showed it significantly smaller than it was previously. But again, we were asking for it based upon the town wetlands line. That's why the entire activity is about 0.59 acres. At that meeting, you deemed the activity insignificant. We're here before you this evening to hopefully answer any additional questions and hopefully move this project forward.
So since our meeting last month, there have been no changes to those plans whatsoever, what was originally presented.
No changes. There were some comments from staff. They were addressed prior to our last presentation, so everything is up to snuff at this point.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'll open up to the commissioners for any comments.
If you recall, a question, yeah, if you recall a question about like if there was a fuel release or something, a major leak. Could you just explain again what would be expected to happen and
If there's a fuel rig.
and what's required of
Sure.
you that may be outside of this commission?
There's a fuel release that has to be reported to DEEP. And then there would be appropriate measures to have to clean up. It would be captured in the stormwater swale. If it gets that far, then it would have to be, contaminated material would have to be excavated and removed from the site as part of that release. Mr. Mirabelli, beyond putting this parking lot and storing vehicles, also services vehicles. So he's very familiar with that and processes that need to happen. I'll let you know that all the vehicles in here are brand new vehicles, brand new vehicles. So they tend to be in good shape and no problems.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none. Mr. Hinckley, is the application complete?
Application is complete. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
The secretary may have a motion application 2022-24 at 249 Day Street for modification of a permit at permit 2022 to expand a parking lot within an upland review area.
I have a motion to approve application 2022-24, which is a modification of permit 2022-01 for an expansion of a parking lot and drainage improvements within the regulated area. All conditions of the original permit remain in full force and effect. Additional conditions may be imposed by the commission and added to the record.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Commissioner Wagner, second it.
Second by Commissioner Wagner. Final discussion. Ms. Gibbons, please call the roll.
Commissioner Ancona?
Yeah.
Commissioner Bashand?
Yes.
Commissioner DeHaas?
Yes.
Chairman Sato?
Yes.
Commissioner Wagner?
Yes.
Commissioner Wimett?
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you for your time and everyone have a nice holiday.
Moving on to item 7, public participation on agenda items. Each speaker limited to 2 minutes. Does anyone wish to step forward?
Oh, there's no one online. I don't know if there's anybody in the room that wishes to speak.
Right, seeing none, we shall move on to communications and reports. Item A, agent communications. Do you have anything this month, Mr. Hinckley?
Just working, trying to keep applications moving forward that we're receiving, discussions with, potential developers on possible future applications. That's pretty much it.
I do want to ask you about what's going on. It's a non-agenda item. It's going over at Sam's Club. There was some clearing behind Sam's Club, and I guess there was a violation.
There's no
Depending on who you ask,
there's no violation. The gentleman owns the property. He has access, he has a right of way through the Sam's Club property to the landlocked pieces back there. He went out there to clear timber because there was some value in timber that was on site there. So when he discussed it with me, what I had him do was install silt fence along the edge of the URA to stop any potential issues, and he knew where the URA was. It was flagged in the field by a local surveyor. The trees were marked. You can go out there and see the paint marks. And they installed the silt fence to collect any, silt or runoff. They cleared what trees they wanted to and timbered it out. And, currently the site is sitting there. He does intend on coming forward with a site plan approval at some point early in the spring, I'm told. And he's not going to be touching the regulated area with that site plan. So depending on when I see it, he'll either have to come before wetlands or not.
What's the actual address there? Do you know?
It's like 697 Church Street rear or something like that.
And timber could be harvested if it's in a wetland, or would that have to come? Well, I'm saying if it was, I'm just curious for.
There are state statute stuff for timber, for forestry and stuff. I mean, they still have to follow rules and whatnot, yes, but you can certainly timber within regulated area.
So there's no upland review or anything?
Well, there was a question from someone in the public about, they felt because there was a low lying area that was wet, that was on the other side of the wetland. They said, well, that's wetlands. I said, well, just because you have standing water does not mean it's wetland soils, as we know.
Not on our maps either, then you're saying?
No, it's mapped. The URA line was flagged in the field by a surveyor from town mapping.
Mm-hmm.
Could the town mapping be off slightly? Sure. I mean, we know it was developed in the 70s from aerial photography.
Mm-hmm.
So that there could be.
I mean, the activity is outside of that. Okay.
Outside of the wetlands by the town mapping.
I think the question is that maybe it was wetland that was missed. Because I think that's part of the controversy, that there was standing water there year round, that maybe the map was a little bit anti-conservative in that area.
And it certainly could be. And, how are we going to rectify it? We can't.
We can't force them to survey their own property or.
Yeah, we can't force them to hire a soil scientist if they're telling me and they're flagging it by the town mapping. It's not like we get into disputes and say, okay, well, you have to go out there and hire a soil scientist. If there's an application, that's a different thing. There's no application. I don't believe he intends on encroaching into the regulated area. So I don't know what else.
But a wetland can be created though, right? Like over time, like since the
Wetland can be
70s,
created,
like
yes,
that could have
sure.
been
Sure.
new
It
wetland.
may be. It may be.
But it wasn't in the regulated, so you had the right to do it. Okay. Trying to understand.
But the activity now is not even in the URA, is that what you're saying?
Correct. 'Cause I
So
have
the
map,
current
the
map,
map.
current
Yeah,
map.
yeah,
is
which is
now-
what we're bound by.
URA for the town mapping.
Mhm.
And, which we've had, another case, we've had construction activities do that. We've never forced John Q. Public to go out and just say, hey, you need to hire a soil scientist unless we have an application.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Makes sense. So something along those same lines, if I may, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
I heard a lot of fuss about some tree clearing on Robbins Avenue in the green there, and I didn't see it myself or anything. I just heard a lot of people complaining about
Those were posted by the town.
that large triangle area is completely cleared.
Where the knob is. Yeah. Yeah,
And for what purpose was that, if you know?
I think it's part of the sidewalk project and the Maple Hill and Robbins bike lane and all that good stuff that they're
But
improving.
it's the larger green, like east of Main Street, or the little one that's closer to?
There is,
Oh, okay, the small
where
one.
the big knob is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the one,
Oh,
not,
okay.
correct.
I was worried.
It's
I
not
thought
the
it was
other
that
one.
big one.
Correct, no.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner, I just have a question, like, so if we think there's a question and there might be a new wetland, what do we do as commission to say, all right, this might be a new, like, do we have, we bring up a new business or?
If you own a piece of property and somebody feels there's a looking over, says, oh, I think there's a wetland there,
Mhm.
they're gonna tell the town. I can't force you, hey, go out and get,
Yeah, okay,
you know,
yep,
get a soil scientist out there, you know,
Only when you
I
build
can't,
up.
right. If you're gonna come forward with an application that's gonna demonstrate soil disturbance,
then we look
either
at
by
that.
excavation or filling within that regulated area,
Yep.
then we can request.
I appreciate it, yep,
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to know, because it explains it well, thank you.
Is that
Okay,
satisfactory,
I
Mr.
just,
Chairman?
I just wanted to address it.
Okay.
We'll see what it goes.
No problem.
All right, move to item B, Town Council Liaisons and Communications. I see Commissioner Bedrejko. We step forward or just say a few words?
Nothing really big to report, except that, in terms of, well, you know, we have an acting town manager. But we did interview 4 search firms, national search firms. And we selected one, Randy Frank, out of North Carolina, but she had very strong connections. So they'll be starting in January. And the timeline is probably about 3 months or so. So that firm has experience with having assisted other towns in Connecticut with town managers. And in terms of town planner, which would directly impact this commission, the application's been closed. I believe second interviews have been done, and hopefully they were.
Yes, I was part of the interview. Yes, I was. I assume the offer was extended yet, or is that?
I believe Heather's working on getting
Okay.
that out. She was out today sick, so hopefully we'll have that out by the end of the week. And so hopefully I'm back in by the beginning of January, and hopefully I'm on board by the
Hope he
So we
takes
have-
it.
So we have a serious candidate then?
There was one serious candidate which we interviewed last Friday, a team of us, and he does have quite a bit of experience in landscape architecture. He's a wetlands agent. So I think from a wetland commission, I think I was very pleased. I think he's, he'll work well with us. And
That's a real important because it's not just planning and zoning. It's the wetlands, it's economic development, it's open space, and the person has to be well versed and have good relations with each of the commissions. So I'm glad that we've already established, assuming if it takes sense. And the other thing, it's not really conservation, but should we approved an application for the manufacturing building? It's kind of interesting. It's not, there's no tenants per se, but the developer or the owner is wants to make it kind of more retail commercial friendly versus the current appearance, which is kind of manufacturing, whatever, because there's no windows. So they're planning on keeping the kind of the back portion of Wisconsin's leak. This is leased out to data mail, and it's it's well suited for a warehouse type of.
You're gonna say Amazon or something.
Right, but the front portion, they're going to kind of totally redo the facade, make more windows, and make it visually friendly from the street, and try and get more in Newington to be more walkable. And they, again, there's no tenants per se, but it can be modified to give small retail, restaurants, small ones that are light manufacturing perhaps.
They have a lot of options in the zone that they're in because that parcel is actually zoned PD in the center of town. So they have more options than just your town center. If you guys are interested, you can go on the town webpage for agendas and you can look up the link and you can see what they're doing. They have some nice architecturals there.
They're going to try and return, apparently initially the building was kind of like Art Deco, and they're going to kind of return try and return that.
Yeah, they're gonna peel off some of those sixties and seventies additions and get back to the Art Deco look with the rounded corners on Main Street, open it up with windows. And then along Constance Lee side, they're putting some nice like copper colored awnings over some of those and creating, more space down there. So
Take the fence down.
it's very, very, very sharp looking.
The only thing that quite frankly kind of caught my attention, and there's no application, there's no anything, but, the land, the open land that's there, they said that in the future, they may be coming, this is small, be coming with another application for residential, so.
And the open piece is actually business town center zone. So it's split zone piece, but so they have some options there for
You don't know the field. in
the
back.
field, yeah.
I feel that, because sometimes they put, when they have the car show.
It makes sense because it's so huge. They're gonna have to subdivide it into, more than one tenant, obviously. so.
The undeveloped piece along Market Square too, that's part of their deal. They own that strip between the Stilt building and the other one, that's part of that
Mhm.
bikini building. So they own that. So they have, they have some options.
Hopefully, we'll be able to keep it within the size and character that we want. So,
Okay.
I've seen Councilwoman Rada is not online, I assume. it's-
No, I've not seen
Okay,
it.
give her a chance, okay?
Yeah.
Moving on to item C, Pond Life Research and Education. Ms. Allen was unsuccessful with his browser this evening, was not able to join us. So with that concludes our agenda. I may have a motion to adjourn. There's nothing else?
Commissioner Wagner.
Moved by
Motion to
Commissioner
adjourn.
Wagner, may I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Haas, all in favor? Voice
Aye.
vote.
Aye.